friendly knights everywhere. TACNERD is here on the scene. Today we are at the bench. Going to do a little bench talk here, a little bit of stream of consciousness. What we're going to talk today is we're going to talk about Glocks. We've got a couple here on the table. And specifically, we're going to talk about the idea of the collectability of Glocks. I think a lot of people right off the bat are going to scoff at that idea. And they're going to say, no, there's millions of these, maybe billions. I don't know. There's millions of these things out there. They're just bits of plastic. You can get them anywhere. Why would they be collectible? Well, we're going to talk about that. We've got a couple here. But before we do that, let's get the idea of what is collectible right out into the open. The best definition I can provide is to say something is collectible. You would generally mean that it's something that you don't have to have, but you just want it, or you want possession of it. But I could just get a regular Glock 22 or a regular Glock 21. I think also with collectability comes that sort of assumed notion of worth, that something that is collectible might be worth something. Okay, so here we are. Let's start first with this one. This is the Glock 22, and this is typically called the RTF, or rough texture frame. And that is generally because when these were released, now not this one specifically, because this one has been used quite a bit, but these had a very, very rough texture, and it went all the way up almost to the slide. As you can see here, that is unusual for a Glock, or at least was at of the time. Now, the other thing about this one is what people commonly call the fish gill, and that is because of the serrations. And you can see here in a, well, somewhat normal Glock, you have just these vertical serrations here, and then on the later models, they would put them up front as well. These ones, however, are these sort of, I don't know, crescent moon sort of looking things, but people commonly just call them a fish gill because they do kind of look like a fish gill. So these were, and then this one in particular is maybe a little more collectible because it was a duty weapon. And you can see right there, this was used by the police department of Puerto Rico. And that also can make a regular Glock more collectible if it has a prominence. So anyways, that is kind of what makes this one in particular more valuable, because this is a design choice that Glock did that really just didn't work out. People didn't like these. They might have been aesthetically appealing, but in practice, people just didn't like them. And that's the one thing with Glock, because it's very hard for Glock to innovate. I know people say they want them to. It's very hard for them to do so because they have so many contracts out there, and they have so many people that when a new Glock comes out, they just want it to be what they're used to. It's very hard for them to do anything different, because if they do, they get a lot of flack for it. They got a lot of flack for the RTS. People thought it was too rough. And an afternoon of firing this weapon, people did not like it. They said that it peeled off skin, and it just wasn't popular. And that's why these did not last very long. Also, this one, and we'll get into that in a minute also, this is considered a Gen 3, which due to activities in California, Gen 3s, last year it was announced that Gen 3s were no longer going to be made. And that also, limitation also adds to an item's collectability as well. Whether you're collecting firearms or Pokemon cards, if there's not a lot of this particular one out, that makes it more collectible. All right, let's move on to the next item. All right, folks, so next up is the Glock 21 SF, and that stands for short frame. And it was basically because a lot of people considered the frame just too fat for the average hands. So they made this SF frame, and you can see, if I can find it, it is right there. You have the SF right there. But this one in particular was made for the SOCOM Joint Combat Pistol trials. Now that trial never actually went anywhere, but Glock did make this for that trial. And it also includes, as you can see here, a full Picatinny-rail, which is quite unusual for Glocks. As you can see on this 30 here, most Glocks just have one rail section right here, and that's it. This one has this full pick rail, and that, again, that is quite unusual. Also, it is ambidextrous, which did not come along until the Generation 4. Now, this is a Generation 3 pistol, but yes, it does have, now I can't show it to you on camera, but it does have here and here mag releases. However, the issue was that it was not received well. As I said before, people who have contracts for these, they don't like change. So Glock made a bunch of these and put them out there in the public. When the trial failed, they did sell these off to police departments and onto the civilian market. People hated them. Hated them first because the ambidextrous safety didn't work very well. There's a part in there that would break pretty often. I actually ended up ordering a bunch of replacements. They're still available if you can get them, so that I can fix this if need be. But with continued use, that would often break, and a Glock got kind of tired of having these sent in to be repaired. And people also did not like the pick rail. Now, you might think that's rather unusual because people have been asking for Glocks to have a pick rail forever. But again, as I said, when you have contracts, you have thousands of police departments out there who already are set up to use maybe a Glock 21, but they already have holsters, they have training, they have whatever, and those were all set up to use the Glocks that look like this. And these would not fit in the holsters for the standard Glock 21. It got a lot of people very upset. So this weapon was not continued, was not produced. So finding one of these, if you can, it is sort of finding a gem. Now, if you do happen to have one of these and the ambidextrous safety breaks, do not, whatever you do, send it into Glock, because they will not fix it, because they don't want to fix it. They don't want these out there because that safety breaks. They will just replace the entire pistol. And I've heard that from a few different people, and it's very sad because, a person loses that collectible. But that's another reason these are harder to find, because as Glock gets them in to be serviced, they destroy them. So there are not a lot of these out there on the market, and yes, they are collectible. Now, all right, let's move on to our last example, and then we're going to wrap up. Okay, folks, here we are. This is the last example we have, and this is the Glock 30 short frame SF. Now, we just had a short frame, but this one is a little bit different even of that. And you can see the short frame denotation is right there on that one rather than here. But now this is not, I wouldn't say this is necessarily a rare yet. This is a rare Glock, but it is getting there, because again, when the Gen 3s went into discontinuation, that pretty much killed off any more of these coming out, because the 30 SF, it was the short frame, it wasn't as fat, but the slide was also slimmer as well. So that was two things that made this very, very apt to being carried. Very nice to carry one of these. They're for 45 ACP. They're generally very thin and easy to carry. Carries 10 rounds. Just carries very nice. And I actually use this one for my rotation. Again, these were only made as Gen 3s. There are no 30S's as Gen 4s or 5s. Again, this one is no longer obtainable and is pretty useful. And that definitely does create collectability. So I don't think this one would necessarily be considered rare yet, but it is getting there. All right, let's move on and we'll wrap up. Okay, folks, so here's the question I actually want to wrestle with. Can made in the millions out of plastic and steel ever really be considered collector's items? And I'm going to say yes, I do think they are. But I'm not going to say Glocks in general are collectible. I'm going to say certain varieties of them are. And I think that's pretty common with any sort of firearm. So I think the case for this are these discontinued variants, the short frames, the fish gills, the rough textured frames, that kind of thing, because those items in particular are no longer being made. I think lack of supply does make them collectible. And again, this one in particular is pretty useful as well. So that also helps. The fact that Glock destroys all the ones of this they get in is even more disheartening. And yeah, it makes it collectible as well. The case against that is just the mass total production that these items have. So I think we can wrap up that part of it with just saying that yes, certain models are, certain models are not. Now, the elephant in the room we didn't talk about, the most collectible Glock is the Glock 18. But that is pretty much unobtainium for most of us. They didn't make a lot of them. And if you know what they are, I'm not going to discuss it here. I don't want YouTube to take this video down. But if you know what they are, and it's just not available for most citizens to get a hold of, that's probably considered to be one of the rarest of them all. But what do you want to look for when you do find a collectible Glock? Well, if all you can get is the item itself, get it. Now, this one that I got didn't really come with anything other than itself and one magazine. I had to go out and find the rest of everything. I did get the appropriate case. Now, these are Gen 4 mags. I did hunt down a magazine loader, the manual, the correct manual. I kind of do that with a lot of my Glocks anyways. This was a seizure Glock.
Oh, Uncle Roger sad now.
Not that kind of seizure. This was from a police seizure. Did come with the case, but nothing else. So I had to chase down a little bit for that as well. This one, I was lucky enough that it came with everything, and that was phenomenal. Generally, you want to look for a low round count. Now, this one has definitely seen its day, and you can see some of the finish has worn on this one. So this one is definitely not worth as much, and the frame was pretty messed up when I got it. I had to do quite a bit to refurbish that one, and you can see it is well worn down. So is that necessarily a great collectible? Well, certainly not as much as this one, because this one is in pretty darn okay, folks. So I think that about, we've exhausted pretty much collectability of Glocks. What I'd like to do now, I want to ask you down below, let me know, first off, let me know, do you have any Glocks that you would consider collectible, and do you consider them collectible at all? Or are they just bits of plastic and there's millions of them out there and they're not going to be worth anything to anyone? Let me know give me your real opinions down below. Give me your predictions on which of these three that you think would have the most historical value. And I think that's probably the most important thing here, because firearms are history. They really are. Folks, I hope you got something out of this today. I hope this was enjoyable for you. If you could, please leave a like. Please share this out to the communities that you are in, and give us a comment down below. If you see that hype button, hit the hype button, and remember to hit that notification bell so you can see when all of our videos drop. Folks, this is TACNERD. Thank you for joining us, and I am out of here.